Good afternoon. Apologize for the delay. Wanted to make sure the governor of Texas was able to complete his briefing before we came out, and that you guys were able to pay attention for that. I'll keep it quick up here at the top so that we can get to your questions. The President and his Homeland Security team and the entire administration continue to focus on the lives and safety of those affected by Hurricane Harvey in Texas and Louisiana. Yesterday, at the direction of the President, the Vice President, Mrs. Pence, Labor Secretary Acosta, Transportation Secretary Chow, Energy Secretary Perry, VA Secretary Shulkin, and Acting Homeland Security Secretary Duke traveled to Texas to speak with people on the ground and assess the damage. Earlier today, the President signed a proclamation declaring this Sunday a National Day of Prayer for those affected by the hurricane. And just this afternoon, the President heard from the heads of the Salvation Army, American Red Cross, and Southern Baptist Disaster Relief on their efforts throughout the devastation of Hurricane Harvey. As Gail McGovern, President and CEO of the American Red Cross, said, the American people are bound and determined to bounce back, and these organizations, along with so many others, have been on the ground from the beginning, helping the people of Texas and Louisiana do just that. The President will be back in Texas tomorrow to visit with storm survivors and tell them personally that the federal government is here to help in any way that we can. The President is currently finalizing a supplemental request to support the needs of emergency responders at the federal, state, and local level, and we'll share more information on that later. The President has had calls with several foreign leaders who expressed their support for the American people during this difficult time. Just today, he spoke with the presidents of South Korea, Kazakhstan, and Colombia, and we'll have readouts coming on each of those calls later today. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to follow up on a question I was asked yesterday and announce that the President will host the Emir of Kuwait at the White House on September 7th and the President of Spain on September 26th. Finally, I'd like to reiterate the message that Tom Bossert, the President's Homeland Security Advisor, gave yesterday. In case there's anyone watching today that is in need of assistance, once you have access to a functioning computer, please go to www.disasterassistance.gov. And if you have access to a working phone, please call 1-800-621-3362. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Sarah, you mentioned the supplemental. Does the President feel that it would be helpful to tie the supplemental to the vote on raising the debt ceiling? And do you have any details on the amount of the supplemental? There were reports that it would be about $5.9 billion.
Right now, those details are being finalized, and we'll have more information shortly, most likely by the end of today.
What about the issue, though, of tying the vote to the debt ceiling?
Again, those details are being finalized as we speak, and we should have something for you by the end of today.
So what the President said that he would have a decision on DACA in the next couple of days. Can you talk a little bit about what are the factors driving that decision? What is he weighing right now? And also, does he think that the program as it is designed now, does he think it's illegal?
I just spoke with the President, and we're in the process of finalizing that decision and those details, and we're actually going to make that announcement on Tuesday of next week. And the President's priorities on immigration are to create a system that encourages legal immigration and benefits our economy and American workers. The President's been very clear. He loves people, and he wants to make sure that this decision is done correctly, and so that's what he's doing now, is finalizing that part. Stephen.
Can I ask a question that might help us understand what informs this decision? Does the President feel that young people who came to this country illegally, who came of age here, who have jobs here, who went to school here, are those people Americans or are they foreign nationals?
Look, I'm not going to get into the back and forth while we're in the process of finalizing the details on this, but we're going to be working on that throughout the weekend and make that announcement on Tuesday. John.
How incumbent does this White House believe it is upon Congress to come up with a solution to the Dreamers?
Again, we're in the process of finalizing the decision on this front, and once we make that, we'll, walk through next steps of what any action that would be needed at that time.
But if I could just follow, I asked that question because Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina is introducing a conservative DREAM Act. He's leading a group of conservatives in the Senate. Senator Jeff Flake says that it's important for Congress to do this. Paul Ryan, well, he said he doesn't agree that the president should end DACA as we know it, does think that there needs to be a legislative solution. Does the White House agree with what's being said from Capitol Hill?
Again, I mean, I'll say it for a third or fourth time, and I'm sure I'll get another 5 or 6 more questions on this, and I'll get to say it another 5 or 6 more times. We're in the process of finalizing that decision and those details, and we'll announce that on Tuesday.
Sarah, the president said, we love Dreamers today, and in April he said the Dreamers should rest easy. You know the president. Is it conceivable that he could end this program and send all these people out of the country after saying things like that?
I knew I'd get another chance to say this. We're finalizing those details, and we're finalizing this decision. It is part of the answer is that we're finalizing this decision, and that would certainly be part of the details of the announcement on Tuesday.
Sarah, thanks. The president had said that if we have to close down our government, we're building that wall. Is he backing down from that threat now?
No, the president's still very much committed to building the wall.
So there's a report out, though, in the Washington Post that basically says he's, you got a smile there on your face, that he's backing away.
Well, you know
from
how
this.
I feel about using other outlets as your source.
Is it wrong, then?
I think the president's been pretty clear what his position is. I would take that as the president's position over a report on what it is.
I can ask you 2 questions. One about the ROK call that happened today. Yonhap already has a readout of the conversation, and in it, the South Koreans are saying that the President of the United States promised more missile capabilities to Seoul. Can you confirm that, and do you have any sense of what we're talking about there?
Again, we'll have a readout out shortly, and we'll certainly make sure all of you guys receive that. Sarah?
On NAFTA as well.
Oh, sorry.
The talks are going on now. Obviously, the President has made his feelings pretty clear, but he's also talked several times about terminating the deal. Is that on the table if these talks go forward in
Those
Mexico?
negotiations are still ongoing, and no decision has been made at this time. Sarah?
Shifting back to Hurricane Harvey, has the president made a decision what charities he's going to donate to? Do you know if that's going to be coming from his own money or from the Trump Foundation?
He has not finalized where all of that will go, and I was actually going to use that as a perfect segue to remind everybody, if you have suggestions, he is very open to hearing those. We've gotten a couple, but please send more if you have them. John Gizzi? Oh, sorry.
Whether it's going to be his personal money or money from the
I haven't had a chance to do that, but I will. John?
Thank you, Sarah. Yesterday, Sheriff Dave Clark of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, announced his resignation effective immediately, and this started a rush of speculation in the Badger State and in Washington that he would be appointed to a position at the Department of Homeland Security, possibly even the secretaryship, which is vacant now. A lady at DHS said he's not coming here to reporters. Is former Sheriff Clark under consideration for any position, particularly at the Department of Homeland Security?
I'm not aware of any specific jobs that he's being considered for, but as always, we'll certainly make sure when we have a personal announcement, we let you know. Alex?
Poll released by Fox News on Wednesday said that 56% of Americans think the president is tearing the country apart, and approval rating polls are usually in the 30s. How do these poll numbers affect how the president governs?
I think a lot of these polls are the same polls that predicted that Donald Trump would never be the president, and he's sitting in the Oval Office as I stand here. So I don't have a lot of faith in a lot of these polls. I think if you look at what he's been doing this week, particularly in terms of focusing on unifying the nation, on Hurricane Harvey recovery, talking about tax reform, an issue that's got very wide bipartisan support. The numbers, frankly, that we are focused on and that this administration cares about aren't poll numbers, but we care about 94% of Americans who get assistance to file their taxes, that the majority of Americans thinks the tax code is unfair, and that 70% of individuals in 10 key states support broad-based tax reform. The numbers that we're focused on have to do with actual problems that Americans are facing. The numbers that we're focused on are the ones that actually impact day-to-day life for all Americans. That's what we're focused on. Certainly not silly polls that, frankly, weren't much use to us in the election, and certainly I don't think are now. Francesca?
Thank you, Sarah. I want to switch to tax reform. We learned today that the president will be traveling to North Dakota next week. This week, he was in Missouri. Republicans hold 52 seats in the Senate. And the Democratic senators from those states are ones that the White House is targeting. If the White House got those votes, that would put you up to 54. Joe Donnelly and Joe Manchin are two other Democratic senators that the White House is looking to pick up. That would be 56. Where are the other 4 Democratic votes that the White House and the president think that they can get for tax reform?
I would love to see all of them come on board. I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want to support helping more Americans keep more of their hard-earned money. We want to simplify the tax filing process for individuals, encourage job creation, encourage job growth, provide tax relief for middle-class America, and encourage companies to bring back money to the United States and invest it. I don't know why any member of the Senate or the House wouldn't want to support those things, and hopefully they'll all come on
So you
board.
don't have 4 other states that you might be traveling to, or 4 other names specifically?
Not specifically. Again, I'm hoping that the senators from all 50 states get on board to help Americans and do what, frankly, Americans are demanding. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that doesn't support tax reform in this country. And those are the people that are the bosses of those individuals. Those are the people that elected those members to go there and help do the things that they are asking for. And tax reform is at the top of their list. Glenn?
Sarah, my paper just published a story that Robert Mueller has obtained a copy of a letter drafted by President Trump and written in part by Stephen Miller and other aides around the time of the dismissal of FBI Director James Comey that enumerates the rationale for having him removed, that focuses principally on the Russia investigation. A couple of quick questions. First of all, can you confirm the existence of that letter? Secondly, can that letter be made public? And thirdly, we report that Don McGahn thought it was inappropriate. Can you discuss whether or not you or the president believe that drafting such a letter was appropriate at that time?
I'm not going to get into any of that. I think we covered a lot of those things very extensively during that time. As Ty Cobb said earlier today, to the extent the special prosecutor is interested in these matters, we will be fully transparent with his investigation. And frankly, I don't have anything to add beyond that.
Can we get a copy of the letter?
Again, we're going to work with the special prosecutor, as Ty said, and we'll work through that process. No.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sorry. No.
Yeah, I'll go earlier this.
Hey guys, one at a time. I'll come back to you after that.
Earlier this week, the president tweeted that talking is not the answer in regards to the North Koreans. Today, the South Korean president's office says he and President Moon agreed to reaffirm that North Korea should be brought back for dialogue. So which is it on that as well?
I think I was clear on this yesterday. The president's looking for an integrated process, and we're continuing to move forward on that. We take North Korea extremely seriously, and all options are on the table. That hasn't changed. Noah, sorry.
Follow up to the NAFTA question. Mexico has threatened to end the negotiations that are going on if the president initiates steps to pull out of NAFTA. Would the president view that as a positive outcome? And is there any concern overall in the White House that the escalation of the rhetoric will hurt the White House's ability to craft a better deal as the president has promised?
No, we're continuing to move forward in these negotiations, and as the president says, we'll see what happens. April?
She says April, I'm sorry. On DACA, I'm sorry. On the issue of DACA, the vice president said that the president will use a big heart in making this decision. What is the definition of big heart?
Again, I'm not going to get into the back and forth on this until there's a finalized decision, which we're in the process of doing, and we'll make that announcement on Tuesday.
I have one more. On jobs. What is this White House saying about jobs, particularly as the unemployment rate is at 4.4%, but you have continuation historically of African American and Latino rates that are higher. For August, the African American unemployment rate 7.7%, Latino rate 5.2%, the white rate 3.9%. A few weeks ago, Stephen Miller was at this podium talking about the black unemployment rate versus that of the immigrants. Is there going to be a targeted approach? I mean, these numbers bear to show that there is a difference when it comes to minority American unemployment versus mainstream American.
I think you make a great point for why we need tax reform. It's one of the primary reasons that that's a top priority for this administration, is to do a massive overhaul of the system so that we have a better environment. We're creating more jobs, higher paying jobs, and I think that's a perfect example. There were 150,000 new jobs created over this time period, and since the president came into office, 1.2 million new jobs. We are incredibly focused on this. This is not just something that we've been talking about, but something that the president has been very active in since day one. He's gotten rid of over 800 regulations that have created a better environment for job creation. We're continuing to focus on that primarily through tax reform, and that's why it's such a big deal for us in the fall. Dave?
Sarah, you said, can you confirm?
I'll come back to you next. Let me go to Dave.
Confirm that the president is meeting with congressional leaders on Tuesday about tax reform, and does that mean that the details are almost finished?
He is meeting with congressional leaders next week, and I believe it's Tuesday. Yeah, I believe that's right. And I believe there's a second meeting on Wednesday as well.
It is almost finished?
That means that, we're pushing forward. We're going to continue, again, focused on those 4 principles, using that as the guide and the focal point moving forward, and sit down with a lot of members of Congress to make sure we get this deal done.
Thank you, Sarah. 2 questions. The first one is on DACA. I know you're not ready to make an announcement yet, but these people, these dreamers, came out of the shadows and they provided their personal information to the government for work permits. If the president does end DACA, will that information be used to round up and deport any of these people? That's my first question.
Well, I'll answer it the same way I've answered it 18 other times today. Those decisions are being finalized, and once they are, we will announce them on Tuesday.
My second question is on infrastructure. Clearly, the devastation in Texas brings attention to problems with our infrastructure, and there's going to be a need for massive rebuilding. I know tax reform is the focus right now, but will there be a push for an infrastructure bill either after that or around the same time? And will that be coming from the White House, or will the administration be letting Congress take the lead on an infrastructure bill?
Infrastructure is certainly something that's very important to the president, a priority for the administration. The timing of that hasn't been set forth yet, but it's certainly something that we're actively working on and looking at every day. As we like to say here, we can walk and chew gum at the same time, and we'll continue to push forward on how to best improve the infrastructure.
Hurricane Harvey, the president was in Texas on Tuesday. He's going back tomorrow. I understand the exact schedule might not yet be set, but can you give us any kind of idea of what kinds of things he's going to be doing, and what he's going to be doing this weekend that he didn't have a chance to do on Tuesday?
Sure, he'll be able to go into Houston, which he was not able to do on Tuesday. That'll be the first stop of the day. He'll have the chance to meet extensively with quite a few storm survivors, as well as talk with some of the volunteers that are helping administer a lot of the support that these individuals have needed over the last week. And then from there, he'll go to Lake Charles, Louisiana, where he'll do a stop there as well, meeting with a lot of the volunteers and other storm survivors.
Are there any events on Sunday, or is this all contained to Saturday?
All on Saturday.
Does he have any other weekend plans after that?
We'll keep you posted on further guidance for the weekend. Hallie?
If I can ask 2 questions on that. Given the president's going to be obviously pretty busy on Saturday down in that region, you've said 19 times that he's going to be finalizing the decision in the next 3 days. Can you specifically explain what is going to change between now and Tuesday, given that we heard the president talk in the Oval Office about a decision coming this weekend? What specifically is he doing in these next 3 days that he hasn't done so far?
Look, I think this is a pretty complicated process, as you all know, and we want to work through every bit of that, and that's what he's doing. He's making sure he takes the diligent time and effort and attention that this very important issue deserves.
And given that it's so important, I just kind of want to personalize a little. There's a guy in Texas right now, Jesus Contreras. He's a paramedic. He's been working since the storm hit to help people in the community in and around Texas. He also happens to be a dreamer. What's the president's message to Jesus?
I think it's the same message that he said many times before. This president is a president that loves people, and we are working on the best decision possible, and we'll announce it on Tuesday. Charlie.
New reports are detailing how under the Obama administration, the group Antifa was being watched, and their activities were declared as domestic terrorist violence. My question is, was the president or his chief of staff aware of those investigations and reports before Charlottesville?
I'm not sure. I'd have to ask, and I haven't had that conversation, Charlie.
Is he tracking the rise of violence from this group going forward?
I'm sorry, is he what?
Is he tracking the rise of violence from these groups going forward?
I think we're certainly, constantly monitoring all violence across the country as best we can, and something certainly that the Department of Homeland Security and the administration takes very seriously, and is constantly looking for ways to end all violence in all forms. So certainly that would qualify.
The follow-up to Hallie's question for a moment. I think I read there were 120,000 Dreamers in the state of Texas. Is that in any way weighing on the president's decision about DACA and what the situation there is?
Again, I think that this isn't a decision that the president takes lightly, and he's taking time and diligent effort to make sure that he goes through every bit of the process, and he'll continue to do that and make that announcement on Tuesday. I'm sorry?
Is what's happening in Texas and even Louisiana?
I think the
perhaps weighing
decision
on him at
itself
all?
is weighing on him, certainly. Margaret?
Thanks, Sarah. I've got two. The first one is coming back after the Labor Day weekend. There's obviously a lot of stuff on the agenda.
It's going to be a busy September.
There were some tensions between the president and congressional Republicans over the summer, and I'm just wondering if he has a message for them that you would want to share about any reset that he hopes to effect in the next 4 days before he comes back. And I also wanted to ask you, with all the caveats that you're allowed to discuss this letter that is part of an investigation.
Let me answer the first question so we don't get lost in that. I think that the message that the president would have for the members of Congress would be, let's get to work. You've had a nice long break here, and we've got a lot of things to do. We've got some big commitments to the American people that we need to fulfill, and we need to do some really big and bold things throughout the fall, and hopefully they'll get on board and be part of that process.
The letter, as reported, suggests that some of the rationale did have to do with Russia, but the president initially talked about Hillary Clinton, and I'm wondering whether you can square those two for us. Do you think his messages, do you think there's now an inconsistency that needs to be addressed? And would you like to address it from the podium?
I'm not sure I'm following fully your question, but as I said earlier in reference to the letter and the Comey firing, we have discussed that extensively. In fact, I've done that many times from this podium, and I'll refer you back to Ty Cobb's statement that I read earlier. There's nothing more to add on that. Sure.
Sarah, can I drill down on what is driving the DACA review and final decision? Is the president reviewing the merits of the DACA policy, or is he reviewing the legality and validity of the process the Obama administration used to grant it? In other words, if Congress were to move to protect the Dreamers, would he be in support of that? Would he sign on to such an effort? There does seem to be interest there. What's he reviewing?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but since you guys are, then I guess I have no choice to be. But we're continuing to work through this decision process, and I'm not going to go any further than that. The president's made a lot of statements on this, and he's going through all of the details of this very thoroughly. And once a final decision is made and those details are ironed out, we'll let you guys know on Tuesday. Just as we're wrapping up here, a reminder, if you have suggestions for the president to contribute to, that would be great if you could get those to us by the end of the day. And also, we encourage everybody to participate in the National Day of Prayer, and hope you have a good Labor Day weekend. Thanks so much, guys.
I think, and that's the highlight, I think. Oh, okay, so we're on. All right, so good. Hey, so this is the post show for the Sarah Sanders briefing. I was just talking a little early because I didn't know exactly when we were going to come on the air, so I didn't want to be sitting here silently. But as I was saying before, the major piece of news from that press briefing was Sarah Sanders announced that President Trump next Tuesday will announce his decision on the DACA policy. So we're going to talk about that here on the post show for the briefing. I'm Steve Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting. What do you think the president's going to decide? Do you think the president will leave DACA the same? Do you think the president will completely get rid of DACA, or do you think he'll offer some sort of modification? Remember, DACA is the program that President Obama instituted, which, roughly speaking, lets undocumented immigrants / illegal immigrants, people who are not allowed to be here, who came here as children, who came here, I think it's under the age of 16, and they meet some other conditions, to basically keep staying in America. So will the president change that? Will he say, look, you know, even if you're here illegally, even if you came as a child, you got to leave? What will happen? That is sure to be a big announcement, especially if he does announce that he's getting rid of the DACA program. That'll be like, you will see. I don't know if he'll have done anything that makes certain people on the left angrier than that. So, but I could also see the base being very happy about that. Some of his base has been pushing for this. So now if he instead says something like, well, we're going to modify DACA a little bit and say no more DACA in the future, but the people who are already here can stay. That's a possibility. Maybe he thinks by doing that, he can satisfy the base, but also not get people angry that, say, somebody who's been here for now 25 years has to leave or something. So there's definitely different options here for what might happen. I'd love to hear what you think. What do you think is going to happen next Tuesday on DACA? We're definitely going to cover that announcement live, no question. So let me know. Write to me on Twitter. Let me know what you think, and I will read your comment on the air. At Lookner, at Lookner. What do you think President Trump is going to do about DACA next Tuesday? If I had to guess, if somebody said, Steve, I'm going to make you bet money on it, I don't think he's going to do nothing about DACA. I don't think he'll leave it as it is. That it would be weird for me that he leaves it as it is. So he's going to make some sort of change. I think it's less possible he'd completely get rid of it and say we're going to deport all the ones who are in the country now. Now, I could see a world, so if I had to bet money, I think I'd bet money on something like he'll get rid of it in the future or restrict it in the future in some way, but not have it apply to the people already here. That's just a guess. I'm just guessing. I have no idea. So let me know what you think about this. I really want to know what you think about this. Write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting, and you should be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, by the way, so you get notified about our live broadcasts like this one. Even though today notifications didn't seem to work for this particular broadcast for a lot of people, we've already contacted YouTube about it. We're looking into it, and we've contacted YouTube about the technical issue we were having at the first part of the broadcast. Okay, I want to get to your messages. Trump Jr. says he'll cut DACA if he hears from the people. So what you're saying, Trump Jr., is that maybe President Trump still isn't sure, and that if enough people contact him saying get rid of it, maybe he'll get rid of it because of that. Let's see. Fit to be Tied says, I have really enjoyed your discussing other issues than just the one the video is about. I follow a lot of different topics, and it's nice to hear other opinions on various subjects. Have you considered doing a short show every day, maybe on weekdays, to cover several of the big topics of the day, and you don't have to read this one out loud? Well, I already did. Thanks, Fit to be Tied. Well, basically, there's pretty much briefings almost every day, and we basically do that on the briefings where we cover the issues of the day. So I thank you for saying those kind words, and I appreciate the suggestion. I just think you usually are briefing pre-show and post-show, especially the pre-show, ends up being kind of like this news discussion show because we talk about the various issues of the day. Yassine Kayem says, the briefing was too boring, too many fake media, we need real questions. America First says, the decision that makes the most sense and that I think President Trump will make is that will be that the Dreamers currently here can stay, but starting now, any new Dreamers that might happen to come in can't stay. So it doesn't encourage illegals to just come here and bring their kids because they know they'll basically just get free citizenship. So America First, you agree with me that you think that's the most likely? Heather writes, I really wish the White House are about all people affected by Harvey. I say end DACA. They feel entitled also. So it sounds to me like if I'm getting you right, you want the White House to end DACA, Heather, and you want them to really be focusing on people affected by Hurricane Harvey. Thank you for writing in. JC says, Steve, no quarter. Illegal is illegal, period. I don't care if it is Mother Teresa. No DACA and get them all out. So JC, you want the president to just get the people out who are here under DACA, even who've been here, who are already here. Lucy Rose says, I think he will have a heart. I think it could cause war. So you're saying, Lucy Rose, you think if the president said, we're going to get rid of DACA and the people who are currently here under DACA have to leave, you think that would incite so much anger among people who oppose that decision that we would have war, so to speak, and maybe the president will just avoid doing that. Also, you say you think it would be more sympathetic of him. He would have a heart if he let those people stay who've been here already under it. Anyone else have a thought about what President Trump might do on Tuesday? Let me know at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER. I want to hear from you. Feel free also to follow me on Twitter if you like breaking news. We cover breaking news all the time here at Right Side Broadcasting, and I cover it all the time on my Twitter feed. So you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner, and Right Side Broadcasting is at RSB Network. Greg Jackson writes in, they need to pay all. Is a subject, Google, YouTube need the money. It says they need to pay all those who search out right-wing sites in order to censor them and shut them down. It takes a lot of resources worldwide to do this. So you think they're paying a lot of people, Greg, to search out right-wing sites and shut them down. And you also said, what kind of a question is that? Can you talk about this for a while? The problem is, Greg, I'm not sure exactly what question was being asked when you sent me that email. So feel free to write back again, Greg, and let me know what question you're referring to. It was noticeable that as many of you predicted, there were many questions about the DACA issue. And it got to the point where I knew, you could just tell they would ask another question about the DACA thing, and like the president, that Sarah Sanders wasn't going to say anything more. Like somebody asked toward the end, is the president trying to decide whether it's the right policy, or is he just trying to decide whether the Obama administration went about it legally, and would he then approve if Congress passed a DACA bill? And you just knew she was going to say nothing, and in response, Sarah Sanders said, I'm tired of sounding like a broken record, but since you guys are, I have to. And she basically just said, we're still deciding. I'm not going to answer those kind of questions now. So, it was just a lot of questions were spent on that, which basically you knew you were not going to get any kind of substantive answer to above what had already been said. Trump Jr. says, ship them out. Sightless Seer says, what are your thoughts on the civilian efforts during Harvey and the role of technology such as Zello and social media played in the events and its low mortality rate? What should we learn from Harvey for the future? What are your thoughts of what citizens' role during disaster should be? What do you think the response citizens have and may have to? What do you think the response citizens should have and may have to the device political theater media has been trying to propagate? So, a little too many questions to answer all here, Sightless Theater, without derailing the broadcast, but I think they're excellent questions. I'll say just a little bit right now. In terms of the role of social media during Harvey, well, one thing social media does is it lets people see what's going on. We were showing live streams about Hurricane Harvey from Houston and from Texas, where people in the live streams who were making them would say, like, look, we're in trouble. We need help. Please share this video. We want people to see what's going on here because the news isn't showing it. We saw a number of people on stream saying that. And so definitely a role of live stream, a role of social media was to let the world get a better idea about what was going on there. And also there were places where like either the media couldn't or wouldn't go, but maybe couldn't go because the flooding was so bad, but we were able to see what was going on in those places from social media. And also, I'm guessing social media, I heard that like the Cajun Army, they were citizens on boats were organizing, I'm guessing they organized on social media. I don't know for a fact, but I'm guessing that helped them organize. So there were certainly a lot of citizen efforts to help people escape and help people flee and give people aid. And so that's a role they play. It makes that kind of thing easier. So definitely, but I really thought that so many people there were, say, doing a rescue and live streaming at the same time. They'd be doing a rescue in a boat and they'd be holding up a phone and live streaming. And I think people there really wanted to spread the word about what was going on there. So I thought that was quite interesting, an interesting aspect of this whole disaster, and it really gave a picture with the social media stuff. It gives us a much better picture of what's going on in these disaster areas than we had before. And also, for example, also only a couple nights ago, you had people in the middle of the night posting from Port Arthur saying we need help, and maybe it helped the authorities find them, but it also gave people a better idea on the outside of like, oh, this is still an issue, even though it's not raining in Houston, it's still an issue in Port Arthur. Okay, we're taking your comments about the press briefing today. Let me know what you thought about the press briefing, about DACA or anything else. Write to me at @Lookner on Twitter. Michael Jackson says, hi, President Trump has a heart. DACA will stay the same. Love RSBN. So you think, Michael Jackson, he might not change DACA at all? That could happen. That certainly could happen, especially with President Trump. You never know what's going to happen, but I could see that happening. And maybe, look, someone might say President Trump is going to keep DACA the same, but he's going to make an announcement out of it because he'll like build up suspense, reality TV. And then if he says it's going to stay the same, then he'll get a lot more publicity for that than if he had just not done anything about it at all and made no announcement. Don't know. Adriana writes in, Adriana, remind me how to pronounce your last name. Steet says solution will have to be to have each illegal DACA immigrant apply for legal status on individual basis and end DACA to discourage illegals. So what you're saying, Adriana, this is another interesting proposal. You're saying end DACA in the future, and the current ones have to apply to keep their status, and maybe they have to, now they have to apply anyway every couple of years, but maybe have some kind of application process which will require them to show certain things. I don't know, no criminal record and stuff. So maybe say, you're gonna have to go through one more application process to stay here or something. I could see that. Now, but under DACA, they do have to reapply or renew every 2 years. So that could stay the same too. Roxanne writes in, I say keep past DACA illegals as long as they do not have a criminal record, then end it effective now. No more DACA after Tuesday. Marco Barrio says they should stay if they have no criminal background and shut it down for future dreamers. So a lot of you seem to be on board with this proposal. Taylor says he will choose the moderate position of modifying. So I guess you mean modify for the future, but don't change for the people already here in order to be reelected. So a lot of you think he's going to maybe get rid of it in the future, but keep it now. Karaoke says, just wondering if this might muster up some anger in them. Thank you. This is a reference, I think, to the Jeff Flake tweet I retweeted earlier. Roxanne says, keep past DACA illegals as long as they do not have a criminal record, then end DACA on Tuesday. Trump Jr. says he will lose a lot of supporters if he just out and out keeps DACA. Black and Proud says, I think the president is setting up the DACA issue as a bargaining chip for the wall. Trump is a negotiator. Very interesting, Black and Proud. Very interesting. He is a negotiator. So, as I said before, the president could have just done nothing about DACA. So, he could have just left it and not even said. Now, maybe his base would have complained, but by making such a big deal of it, maybe he is setting up some kind of negotiation here. Interesting, Black and Proud. Vicky R. says, do any of your listeners know when DACA was first approved? If they were given any special assistance other than getting the right to stay and work? My suspicion is that there were groups and maybe the government helped to get them into the jobs, etc. But I don't know. Can anyone comment on that? Please, thank you. So I can tell you when it was approved. I want to say maybe 2010. Am I wrong about that? June 2012. It allows certain illegal immigrants who entered the country as minors to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation and eligibility for a work permit. I think that's all they get. So I'm just reading from Wikipedia there, but I leave it to anyone else to elaborate on that further. Thank you, Vicky, for writing. Deplorable Infidel says, are you planning on covering Canadian politics soon? We need more real news. Deplorable Infidel, I wish we could. It's so busy as it is just to keep up on all the American politics stuff. Maybe one day when we expand, there can be Right Side Canada. I would love that, but for now, we have to stick with America. Once in a while, we talk about Canada stuff if it involves America or it's like really big, but we kind of have to keep our focus here because there's so much to cover going on in America. Let's see here. So we are, this is the post-show for the Sarah Sanders press briefing. We had a very long pre-show today because the press briefing got delayed due to Governor Abbott's news conference in Texas. So I think the pre-show was about an hour and 45 minutes long. This is the post-show. Write to us and let us know what you thought of the press briefing. And what do you think President Trump will do about DACA next Tuesday? At Lookner on Twitter is where to reach me. Also, thank you in the pre-show for giving your donations to Right Side Broadcasting. A number of you made donations. We really appreciate that because your donations keep us on the air. We can't stay on the air without your donations. We are viewer supported. So if you like our channel and want to see it, keep us giving you more coverage and keep it on the air, please consider making a donation. To make a donation, just go to the YouTube chat next to the broadcast and click on the $ sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or you can go to rsbn.tv/donate. rsbn.tv/donate. And one of the options you can find at rsbn.tv/donate is our Patreon option, which lets you get free stuff in exchange for monthly donations like this mug here. You can get one of these for free. Learn how at rsbn.tv/donate and click the option which says, I think it says like either Patreon or find out how to get free stuff in exchange for monthly donations. Thank you to the moderators so much for working so hard today in the chat and on YouTube. In the chat on YouTube and on the website. Let's see. A. Radford says, here's my idea for what to do with DACA people. Use a point-based system. 100 points let you stay, work in progress. And your idea, you sent me something like professional, like if you're a fighter or a doctor, you get 20 points. Served in military 4 years, 40 points. Speak English, get 20 points. Healthy, get 20 points. So you're saying that they should get different science, math, engineering degree, 20 points. You're saying we should keep some of them, but not all of them, depending on certain criteria they have, it sounds like. A. Radford, thanks for writing in. Taylor Killian says, in my opinion, kids didn't have a choice about moving here. Those who aren't criminals should be able to stay. So you think the ones who are here should be able to stay, and because they didn't have a choice? A number of you have written in and said that. Some of you say that he should just make all the ones who are here leave. So a lot of difference of opinion among our viewers today about this. But a lot of you, I think that he's going to maybe do away with the program in some sense in the future, but not kick the people out who are already here under it. Okay, we'll be on the air a little while longer here. So if you have a message, feedback about the briefing, let me know quickly at Lookner on Twitter. And I want to do really quickly, some other things that Sarah Sanders talked about. The Emir of Kuwait will be at the White House on September 7th, and the King, or I heard it might be the Prime Minister, actually, there was a little confusion about this. Spain will come on September 26th. So she was asked about Sheriff Clark. Is he being considered for a job at Department of Homeland Security? She said, I'm not aware of jobs he's being considered for. That doesn't really tell us either way. What else? She said she wouldn't say if Trump donations to Harvey Relief Fund will come from his own dollars or his own personal funds or his foundation. Yesterday, I thought in the briefing it sounded more like it was going to be his personal funds, but I don't know. She says it's going to be a busy September. She says the president will meet with storm survivors tomorrow when he visits Texas and Louisiana. Okay, I think we might, I've gotten to your messages, and I think we might wrap up the stream now just because we've had a long stream and we have some stuff to work on here today at Right Side Broadcasting. I am upgrading one of the computers here, so I'm going to get to doing that. And that will help with some graphic stuff and some other stuff. Or what did Joe send me? Let's see. Joe, so YouTube wrote back to us and said, make sure you selected notify subscribers under advanced settings. Joe, I'll have to write them back because I didn't get this. So that's not an adequate response. Well, we'll write to YouTube. They gave us a non-response to our notifications problem today. Anyways, but I appreciate you all watching today. Sorry about some of the technical issues in the first part of the broadcast. It was not our fault. And Terry writes in, by the way, if anyone, including the president, has any questions to do as to what to do about DACA, here's the answer. And you sent me a video, but I can't really play it because I don't know what's in the video, and I don't know if we're allowed to play it. So if I play it now, it'll take up time. So I apologize for that, Terry. So in the future, if you send videos, let me know what's in them, so I know, because what I usually don't do is play videos like. It's kind of hard because if I play the video and I don't know what's in it, then I don't think, if I just play it and people are watching me play a video for 5 minutes in silence, they might get mad at me. So so let me know what is in the video. That's helpful. So then I can decide, oh, should I play this now? But I do thank you for writing, Terry. And actually, before we get off, give me 1 second here. It's a short video so I can quickly see what's in it. Okay, this looks like... The problem is I'm not sure if we're allowed to play this. This is a video and that's not a tweet, and I can't play this video because I'm not sure if we're allowed to play it. I don't know, this video. So I'm going to hold off on playing it. It's President Trump talking about Dreamers, but I can't play it. It's a video called Trump, I Want Dreamers to Be Americans, Not Foreigners, from February 15, 2016. But I haven't played it yet because I can't play it on the air. I'll watch it after. Thank you, Terry, for writing, though. And thanks to Terry. Terry says it's the president speaking of DACA during the campaign. And I believe it's him saying, I want Dreamers to be Americans, not foreigners. But I would have to watch it to know more about what he says. Thank you, Terry. Trump Jr. says YouTube sucks. Well, YouTube's been very good to us in a lot of ways, so I don't want to say they suck, but we had some technical issues with them today. Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna wrap this up right now. I really appreciate you all watching. Appreciate all the donors who donated. Thank you to the moderators for doing their usual great job in the chat rooms. Thank you, Joe, for producing, and we will be on the air, with breaking news, as we always are, over the weekend if there's breaking news, tonight if there's breaking news. So be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell so you get updates about when we come on the air. Also, I am on Twitter at @Lookner. I'll post about breaking news as I always do. You can follow Right Side Broadcasting at @RSB Network. Follow us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting, and please share this video on Facebook. We love when you share our videos on Facebook. And don't forget, if you'd like to donate, because we can only stay on the air with your support, go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. So again, for now, we're going to sign off for now. We'll be back this weekend with any kind of breaking news. Next Tuesday, we'll definitely be carrying President Trump's DACA announcement. That's sure to be a big event. And I think that's about it. So have a great weekend, everyone, wherever you are. I hope you enjoy your weekend. And maybe we'll see you this weekend on the air. For now, for Right Side Broadcasting, this is Steve Lookner signing off and saying, enjoy your weekend. Have a good day.